Welcome to your Daily 5 for Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. I am a fan of older conspiracy films. I always thought those movies were fun. I mean, they're not fun anymore, really, and some of them are just, well, there's two problems. One is that the United States, anyway, has become so obsessed with thinking that every conspiracy theory ever suggested is real that it has taken a lot of the fun out of these types of movies. And that is compounding the existing problem for me, which is that a lot of those movies, especially the ones from the 70s, are not fun films when you get to the ending. A lot of them are downers, which not necessarily surprising given the content, but still not movies you go into and at the end you feel like you've just watched something that was a lot of fun. But there are movies that kind of have a middle ground or do have some level of optimism. And so I watched one of those over the weekend from 1980 titled Hangar 18. Now, this is a UFO cover-up conspiracy, Roswell, X-Files type of film. So you'll know right away if you're into it or not just based on that, because if you're not interested in any of that type of topic, then don't bother with this movie because that's all it is. It's also going to be, even though I'm recommending it in general, it is going to be, for some people, probably a tough watch. A tough watch not because of the content, but because of the fact that this is definitely the product of a different and antiquated at this point type of filmmaking, which is, and I can't really tell, it feels like a TV movie of the week. But I don't think it is. I think it just comes off that way because that was a style of filmmaking that, for a while, everybody did, where it's not really very experimental, especially coming out of the 70s. You know, there's none of the kind of wild stuff that was going on there in terms of the film. It is really relying mostly, if not entirely, on the acting and the narrative itself. So you're not going to see a lot of interesting use of camera work. You're not going to see big, flashy kind of lights or pyrotechnics or exciting scenes necessarily. This really operates in many ways like what you would expect out of like a crime recreation documentary, where something like Dateline or Investigation Discovery or whatever, where you basically are cutting between different places and you get a timestamp and you're kind of unraveling the mystery with the characters. And it starts off where there's a space shuttle mission where there's 3 crew members. There is an accident where a satellite has an impact with a UFO, a spacecraft. That spacecraft then crashes to the Earth. And the astronauts, once they return, find that there's a lot of things that are inexplicable and that stuff is not coming out about what they encountered. And so that's the first mystery, is the 2 astronauts who are still alive trying to find out what's going on with the cover-up that they know is happening. And then parallel to that, we have a NASA team that is exploring the spaceship and trying to figure out what's going on with it, starting to the point of, literally, how do we get into it, and then going from there. And so those 2 parallel storylines make up the majority of the film. And at some point they will intersect with each other, but you're not really sure when or how. And so that's the movie. And you literally will get a scene where it's the 2 astronauts trying to figure something out, and then you'll jump to another scene. You'll get we're here now, and here's the timestamp, and then it'll jump back and forth. Again, very much in a documentary or recreation style. And it's a very workmanlike film. That's what I mean about this just isn't how most movies are made anymore. So for some people, I don't know if that format is going to be tolerable. I don't think it really matters, but then again, I'm more patient with movies than a lot of people are. And I think that the acting and the story will overpower that for most people. I think that the lack of style and kind of modern filmmaking techniques won't matter so much because I think the mystery is compelling and I think the acting is very good. So I think for a lot of people who otherwise might give up on a movie like this, that might carry them through, but it won't be for everybody. I'm not going to pretend it would be. You have to know going into this that I don't necessarily want to call it a dry film because that makes it sound like it's boring, but to some degree it is. This is a very methodical film in the way that it's being made. So you're not going to see a lot of creativity in terms of the visuals or even really the music. The music is you would think you've heard it a million times before. Again, kind of stock standard stuff, and where the movie's in entertainment comes from, where its strengths are, is the acting and the actual story, which I thought both were excellent. So on the one hand, I definitely think for people who are like X-Files fans or like this kind of UFO conspiracy stuff, I think this is actually a movie that many would find entertaining. But at the same time, you do have to understand going into this that it is going to feel a little bit dated, I guess. And I know it's sort of a negative, but it's not. So Hangar 18, 1980, I think there's a lot to enjoy here. Might want to try it out and see if it's for you. Later.